Welcome to Workshop 3, where you learn about the path to making money. We start with some basics to build a strong foundation and then work through smart budgets. You will learn some helpful ways to keep your rough financial data in your head by using some tricks with units and run rate. And then you will look at how to build a pricing range. Finally, we close with some smart practices shared by other native entrepreneurs. In this workshop, you're going to hear from Troy Douglas, founder of Cultural Blends. Cultural Blends is an apparel brand started by Troy and a friend while attending college in Hawaii. What began as a side project 7 years ago now features Troy designing for the Portland Trail Blazers. He has a lot of good insights on how to price product and how he monitors his market to grow his company. Later, we'll also be hearing from Loretta Guzman, founder of Bison Coffee House. Loretta, as an entrepreneur, has to keep track of the ebb and flow of money for her business. She does this by diligently tracking expenses and keeping close relationships with her vendors. But before we get started, let's hear a little bit more about Troy and his journey.
My name's Troy Douglas. I run a brand that's called Cultural Blends. I started Cultural Blends on August 15th, 2011. It's a clothing brand that I do all the branding concepts and then also all the designs for. My premise for the brand and the idea behind it is to bring people together no matter like their ethnic backgrounds, no matter where they come from. Through design is the biggest part, where we communicate that process, because obviously what we're doing is very visual. T-shirts, hats, hoodies, sweatshirts, things of that nature. So the design element has to speak on what Cultural Blends is, and that's really like a unified message with multiple elements that probably aren't usually put together. And if I can find a way to put that together in like an aesthetic way that people like, then I possibly have a business. So the brand started with my best friend at the time and I, when we were both going to University of Hawaii Hilo. And he was not with the brand for too long. He was my best friend at the time, but he got a really good job as a head tennis pro teacher on the other side of the island. So he would drive from where we lived 2 hours across the island and then teach, these tourists how to play tennis, and then drive back at night. And then he would want to do this clothing brand, but he was already making good money at the time doing this. And he's, maybe 22 years old, and he's teaching tennis, right? It pays well. So he dropped out pretty quickly, but the brand really started with a couple cool designs that I would bring to the Hilo Farmers Market. And I would bring it to them. I would bring it there, and I would sell it to the local people, the tourists, and people were very receptive to it, which kind of gave me the idea, like, oh, this could possibly work. I'm affiliated with the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde. So my heritage, I guess, is my father's Native American, and he's also Filipino, but I didn't realize that he was actually Filipino until 2 years ago, and he didn't realize he was Filipino either. That's kind of a story in itself, but so he's Native and Filipino. My mother is actually Filipina, so mostly Filipino, but I do really, I guess I feel very connected to my native side.